any closer. Identify yourself.
Holy shit. You actually found me.
How did we end up here?
Greetings.
Apologies, but you're not clear to purchase from me yet.
Foolish, Victor. The High Council needs access to the power grid if we hope to restore the city. Your inability to provide a legitimate excuse for denying them will only last so long.
Victoria is right. I know you're angry, but you can't let personal matters interfere with what may be best for everyone.
Personal matters? This is a Ministry of State matter, and I will handle it as I see fit. He is a traitor. He turned his back not only on his family, but on our people's entire belief system. The fact that he still breathes is a stain upon the House Vethal name.
You would doom us all with your pride.
I will do as I please as head of this house. If you are not a member of House Vethal, you do not belong here. Truly, you are a heretic with no regard for respect.
Forgive my brother. He has been forgetting his manners of late. Victor, this is a Naskel's chosen. You recall Lovik sent word.
I recall he spoke of a newly anointed promised. And we do not need help, especially from an outsider.
You can't continue to refuse the council. You must act. Your inaction is killing you.
Precisely, which is why he leaves me no choice but to say this. My nephew Varric has left, and until he returns, Victor refuses to assist the council.
These are hardly matters for the ears of an outsider. Of course not. You are an outsider. You have no understanding of our house. What would my son, my successor, the heir to House Vethal have to do with house politics? Even someone with basic political knowledge should realize his importance. The audacity! I should have you arrested.
Is this not the opportunity you've been looking for, brother? A third party capable of finding Varric?
Yes, you said so yourself. Someone with no loyalties to speak of. And if he's become promised, truly his arrival is more than coincidence.
Serpent, give me strength. You both speak true. Perhaps I have reacted in haste. Tell me, Vindicator, are you well practiced in discretion? So the council would send an untrustworthy fool to secure my cooperation. The sheer audacity. Without discretion, there is nothing left to say.
Do not be foolish, Victor. The Vindicator's presence here is a gift. Do not confuse providence for coincidence.
Very well. As Vittoria mentioned, my son, Varric, has left. Essentially, he has abandoned his post. And not only did he turn his back on his house, but the Great Serpent as well. He is a traitor and must be dealt with as such.
Victor, surely you don't mean it.
He does, Luther. He is allowing his fervent pride and anger to cloud his judgment. What my brother is trying to say is that he wishes his own son dead. First, we lose Vashti to that malignance tearing through Dazra. And now you so willingly offer up Varric. As if our house has not suffered enough loss already.
Because he let his weakness get the better of him. He sees himself as a prisoner in this life. He runs from a duty that others would spend their lives coveting. He is my son. He does not get to choose. He was born to inherit my title, and he knows the punishment for refusing to honor it. I will not speak of her with an outsider, promised or not. Your focus is solely on Varric. Of course it would. As someone from the settled systems, you have no concept of what the Great Serpent demands of us. I do not wish Varric dead, but as head of the Ministry of State, he left me no choice. All must serve. Those who refuse will be met with death. I will not have it known that I declared my own son a heretic and allowed him to escape our grasp. This knowledge weakens the Ministry of State's authority, something we cannot risk at this time. This is why my interest turned to a third party, someone outside of the noble houses, but we have yet to determine someone trustworthy enough. Until now. Our duty as wardens is to keep the populace tasked and loyal. All must serve, both the Great Serpent and House Varun. No exceptions. Those who refuse must be cleansed to stop the spread of corruption. The shame Varric brought upon this house is immeasurable. It stains the very foundation. I will not act until this house is in order and its members are properly aligned with the Great Serpent. And showing leniency for a house member at a time like this when order is needed most would be unwise.
The law. Our work is not so simple, and you know it. You act as if death is the only answer. What about forgiveness?
I will not risk the ministry's authority on the actions of my own son, even if he is my chosen heir. If the High Council wants my cooperation, I need you to find Varric and carry out his sentence.
And I would ask you to spare him. My brother is acting under impulse, not reason.
I have never been more clear. Speak against me one more time, and you will regret it. Varric has a signet ring with House Vithal's family crest. Bring it to me as proof of death. Only then will I grant you access to the power grid. There is nothing ridiculous about our customs, and I suggest you embrace them as one of the promised. The High Council wants my cooperation. This is how they get it. I recommend you start by speaking to patrons of the Herald's Rest. Some of Varric's associates there may know where he went, but keep in mind, anyone who has directly aided him in hiding is an accomplice, and shares his fate. The Herald's Rest is our local bar, and unfortunately, my son's favorite establishment to frequent. And while I know a bar isn't the ideal place for discretion, I still expect you to keep these matters private. All anyone needs to know is that you are looking for Varric. See to it you do. All anyone needs to know is that you are looking for Varric for personal reasons. I will not risk word of his disappearance getting out before I can say the situation has been handled.
Remember, Vindicator, that I would ask you to spare my nephew. Should any harm come to Varric, it would only further devastate this family. Varric was an obedient child, quiet, always absorbed in his studies to please his father. But the two have clashed ever since Varric sacrificed his growth. He found his voice that day, and to Victor's dismay, he wanted no part of being elder. Varric is conflict averse. Pressure, responsibility, stress. He avoids them like the plague. He wants everyone's approval, and as elder, that is an impossible task. I believe it is why he has fled. He made his final stand against his father, and rather than face the disapproval, he disappears.
Ours is a complex world, and you know it.
All Varun children raise a growth, and when they come of age, they sacrifice it. It is our way of solidifying our connection with the Great Serpent. All must serve, and our dedication to him comes above all else. Victor was too lenient with him when it came to Varric's free time. As strict as he was, he allowed him the freedom to associate with whomever he wanted. I think too much time at the Herald Rest showed Varric a different life is possible, when it's not. Not for him. What would you like to... Victor is letting his emotions get the better of him. He was barely processing the shock and grief from losing Vashti. Then came the anger and betrayal from Varric. My brother is a man of pride and great faith. For the first time, I think he does not know what to do. But I am certain Victor does not wish Varric dead. Is it not obvious? He has given you the perfect out, the ring. Yes, Varric would be loath to part with it. It belonged to his sister and is all he has left. But to save his life? To save her brother? Vashti would give him her blessing to hand it over if you asked. This is why I ask you to spare him. As head of the Ministry of State, Victor feels he has no choice. He believes he is trapped by his own faith and duty. If he makes an exception for his son, and the truth comes out, people will see it as weakness. They will question the Ministry of State's authority, which means they are questioning him. Something his pride would never risk. On the other hand, going through with it, announcing it to the public, that solidifies the Ministry of State as a force to be both feared and revered. And I pray I have answers for you. Vashti was my niece. Victor's daughter. Varric's sister. We lost her to the devastation that took half of our great city. Victor will barely speak of her. I think he cannot reconcile the loss with his faith. Until next time.
I, too,
have a job
would
to do,
ask you
Vindicator.
spare Varric.
Get it done.
Victor is in no
Are you here to
position
help
making
or question my every decision? You think I would prefer to see my own son's severed head? The ring is unique, a gift from his sister, and all he has left of her. It will be enough. The Ministry of State maintains the very society of Dazra. We enforce the common goals, that our lives are dedicated to House Varun and the Great Serpent. In order for everyone to contribute, we do not allow for the distractions of disillusion and heresy. If you feel it will help. Verig would believe he is above his duties as House Vethal's heir. He speaks of his own freedom when he was born to guide the people of Dazra. He runs from his duty, which means he runs from the Great Serpent himself. There is only one fate for those who would denounce the Great Serpent. When a promise is lost, they must be made penitent, and it is the Ministry of State's duty to see their sentence through. Verik was devout, although he lacked an enthusiasm. Good. You have work to do. Vindicator?
Remember, I
If
ask
the
you
Great
to
Serpent truly
reconsider.
watches over us,
Victor is
you'll
not in
bring
his
Varric
right
home.
mind.
Serpent guide you.
I'm glad to see you. We will speak again soon, I hope.
All I am saying is that I am not pleased with the recent outsider influence. I am sure you know what I am referring to.
Yes, I understand, and I agree with you. The first outsider in generations, and they are welcomed with open arms? How are we so sure they are not an off-worlder spy?
Perhaps this is the first wave of an impending cultural infiltration. The settled systems are scared of us, and so they are trying to tame us from within.
Indeed. I fear that even darker days may be ahead for House Varun.
No, we will not let those days come to pass.
It will take more than this to break us. What is it?
Do you feel useful?
Perhaps it is not so where you are from, but we demand law and order here. Remember that.
If you ask me, we should be celebrating. No one can doubt the Great Serpent's existence now.
Another
This
drink
bar
will
is
not
the only
hurt.
thing keeping many people sane. Some koza to lift your spirits? Varric? Depends on who's looking for him. And Vi, of course. We've been getting a lot of that since the so-called incident. Lots of people Yara minded you care about when half the city goes to shit. Truth is, I haven't seen him for a few days myself. But if you find him, tell him he better come check on his tab. I know he's good for it, but since he gave Eggy permission to use it, it's sky high. Eggy or B are the ones you want to question, but I doubt they know any more than I do.
You seem to be doing well. I'll drink to that.
Oh, what do you want? Can't you see I'm busy? Oh, you just revealed the question of the day. Where is Varric Vathal? The worst thing that can possibly happen happens. And then he disappears. I mean, come on, we're supposed to be friends. That's what I thought. You'd think B would at least be commiserating with me. But I'm suddenly too drunk to deal with. Some friend she is. All she cares about is Varric. Huh? Oh, B's a friend. Or maybe was a friend. Yeah. Me, B, and Varric makes 3. Figured we were friends till the end. Apparently. I just want Varric to show up so things can get back to normal. Whatever that is. I do care. I just can't. Tane. He mentioned talking to Tane one day about getting off-world, seeing the settled systems. We never thought he was serious, and even if he wasn't... Tane still might know something. Your best bet is just sticking around. Tane's a regular. I'm sure he'll be by any minute if you just want to take a seat.
This bar is the only thing keeping many people sane. Some koza to lift your spirits?
I can't believe he'd run off at a time like this. I hope you find Varric. I miss the sloughing idiot.
My job, and everyone I worked with. I cannot believe they are gone.
Hey, aren't you that outsider made promise that showed up here recently? You telling me they made you promise, and you aren't even a believer? The High Council must be really desperate for answers if they overlook that. I'm an outsider myself. It's hard to get into the whole giant snake thing. I guess when you're part of the supply chain, they make a few exceptions. There's not a lot of people in the import-export business when it comes to Dazra, and they aim to keep it that way. But believe me, it wasn't any short amount of time before they let me roam these streets. You could say I'm like a specialized delivery service, moving stuff back and forth between Dazra and the settled systems. Just so happens I got a lot of time on my hands since Dazra went to hell and I lost my ship. And let me tell you, I thought things were grim before. Whatever that incident was, this whole planet's gonna need therapy. And proud of it. I've been toting stuff back and forth for these people for years and still get the cold shoulder most places I go. But then these people lose half their city and you show up, and suddenly it's divine intervention. Yep, that's how I feel most days since I got stuck here. Anyway, enough about that. What can I do you for? Varric Vathal, huh? That's no small name around here. Well, I guess that depends, Vindicator. Who wants to know? I consider Varric a bit of a friendly acquaintance. I know enough about the guy to care about his physical well-being, if you know what I mean. Oh, sure. You just show up out of the blue and suddenly want to know where to find House Vathal's #1 son? And I know he wasn't lost to whatever ate up half of Dazra. Plenty of people have seen him since. Although, let's just say after what went down here, my retirement's looking imminent, and I haven't exactly been saving up for a rainy day. So if you're feeling generous, maybe we can help each other out. Nice to see we operate on the same wavelength. I'm pretty sure he's heading into the Highlands. Just not sure where. But I do have the means to track him. So you just say the word and we're off to the races. You make it sound creepy. But yeah, for emergencies. Yep, when it comes to my stuff, it's like a package deal. I'm not just gonna hand off valuable tech to some stranger. Highlands region is the northwest side of Dazra. Pretty good area if you don't want to be easily found. After you. Once we're outside of Dazra, I'll fire up my tracker, and fingers crossed, it'll lead us right to him. Just head out the west gate, should be the fastest route.
Numbers are so few now. The barracks are so empty. So many of our brothers and sisters vanished with Vindicator.
Your downward is shameful and unbecoming of a soldier.
Hope nothing bad's happened to Varric.
Hello, excellent. It is always a pleasure.
It's been a minute since friend's a strong word. More like friendly acquaintances. Guess we both felt the Herald's Rest was one of the few places that made us feel like real people. Couple of drinks and everyone's your friend in that moment. He's a good enough guy, I suppose. A little self-absorbed, spoiled. Growing up in a noble house probably does that to you. A little naive, too. He's got this friend, Bianca. She's crazy about him. But the guy's oblivious. And his friend Eggy? Guy needs to lay off the Koza. But I heard Varric let him in on his tab. That's gonna work out well. Blames his dad for everything, though, and I get it. Victor Vathal is not an easy man. He's just used to getting his way and the world revolving around him. When you're raised to be elder, that's bound to bring you all sorts of extra attention. So sometimes when hanging around with us peons, he forgets we have our own thoughts and opinions. Well, it's Victor we're talking about, so it wouldn't surprise me. But Varric can't see how much effort Victor puts into making sure his son has all the tools he needs to take over. He'll go on these rants of Victor drilling him on scenarios. Stuff makes my brain hurt. But Varric talks about it like child's play. Hey, whatever you want. I've only had a few run-ins with Victor for security purposes, and he's all in. The man embodies House Vithal. He could probably recite Janan's teachings word for word, and he runs the Ministry of State without missing a beat. Strict, demanding, and always watching. The guy's good at his job, but when it comes to personality, I couldn't tell you. Whoever he is, he keeps it close to the chest. When you're in the kind of position that he is, I think you have to be. You can't be in charge of security and purging heretics and then turn around and cry over spilled milk. This is Dazra, where noble houses like to duke it out for bragging rights. They see weakness, they take advantage. Ugh, the state's my least favorite of the three. Commerce and conjunction keep to themselves, but state reaches everywhere. Their security, but more importantly, their loyalty. So they'll get deep in your business. They want your motives, your next of kin, your firstborn. I joke. But the moment they get a whiff of something anti-snake, that's heresy. And heresy is a one-way ticket to meet the Great Serpent himself. Not from the man himself. The only time I get glimpses of who Victor might be is through Varric. It's clear he cares about his son, putting in all that work to prepare Varric for the vultures and wolves when he becomes elder. And get this, he even tells Varric he's proud of him. Sure thing. Always up for a chat.
Need me? Need me? Great! I'm looking forward to it.
Captain Kirk, do you require my assistance? Good day, Captain. Yes, Captain. I am right behind you. We should have you inspected for a concussion when we return to the ship. fully equipped for your unique driving style. Caused cosmetic damage to the vehicle. Object.
nice day, isn't it?
Don't be a stranger.
Sell it somehow. Make a credit or two, or $1 million if I had my way.
Repair protocol required.
Really need some help.
Ah, my leg! Two arms, two legs. Still good to go. All my years and all the planets I've been on. Never gonna get used to those things. Terror, what? I think I'll pass. At least I don't see a body around here, so I hope that means Varric's alive. You find anything? Damn. Hate to think he had to take on those things by himself. Well, what's next? Varric must have fled in a hurry since his tracker's still here. So guess the rest is up to us. Technology's always finding a way to let me down. Time to go analog, but be warned, these old eyes have seen better days. No pun intended. Let's head back down and see what we can find. And by we, I mean you.
Captain Kirk, it is pleasant to see travel safely. Unlike humans, I do not experience thrills from increased velocity.
Captain, help!
Interference with caregiving tasks will not be tolerated. Grote Caregiver Protocol is active.
That's far enough, strangers. You want to tell me what you're doing on my property uninvited? Well, you won't find him here. This isn't exactly the type of place where house members frequent. I can understand that, but I can't help you. The only people here are my partner Zen and our daughter Mila. No one comes around here. We're isolated, and that's the way we like it. All right, fine.
Irina, are you sure you know what you're doing?
Zen, yes, I know quite well. Never mind my partner, they're just overly cautious. As I said before, I've never seen Varric Bethal. We keep to ourselves. There's no reason for a path to cross. But we did aid an injured young man a few days ago.
That's gotta be Varric.
It's too coincidental. It must have been him. He had a pretty bad injury, but we were able to patch him up. He didn't want to stick around, though. Once he felt better, we sent him north. There's a long-abandoned growth farm we felt he could make use of. He claimed he lost everything in the incident that swallowed half of Dazra. He wanted to start a new life. We even gave him 2 of our own groats to get started. You're welcome, and safe travels. If you find him, give him our regards. Farewell. I hope Varric found the place adequate. Thank you for showing mercy today.
Warning. A stress-free environment for growth is essential.
Captain Kirk, all systems are operational. Please proceed to press pedal to metal. cannot contain you, Captain.